Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that's one. That's the best one. The X is the best by far. I finally managed to get my hands on the PlayStation 5 donuts. I did get my hands on the PlayStation 5 donuts. If you have no idea what these are, in Australia, PlayStation partnered with one of our local donut shops, Donut King, these guys here, to make a set of PlayStation donuts based on the symbols from the PlayStation controller. How freaking cool is that? I've been looking for these things all week and they've been sold out at every Donut King that I've gone to. So clearly these things are popular here in Australia. Probably part of this thing here where you can peel and win a prize and you can win yourself a PlayStation 5. I'll cut back into the video and let you know what I actually end up winning. There's a future Josh here. Turns out I want a cinnamon donut. So I did not win a PlayStation 5 from the play to peel competition. Just for the record, I actually bought these donuts myself, but PlayStation, if you're listening to this when this inevitably goes into a marketing presentation somewhere, feel free to reach out to me next time. I would love to work with you guys in some way. But this is a pretty crazy gaming collaboration, so I'm gonna open these up, we're gonna start eating some donuts, and I'll let you know what I think of the taste, while we also have a look at some of the other craziest gaming collaborations with other big brands. I love me some gaming collaborations. We're gonna go with Cross first, and yeah, it's apparently it's called Cross, not X. But hey, you do you. I'll cross that one off the list. Delicious. 10 out of 10 donut. I love it when video game companies try and gamify things in the real world and bring elements of video games into real life. Japan is especially good at this with a lot of really interesting video game collaborations. But before we get on to the crazy and wacky stuff Japan's doing, let's have a look at some of the stuff we've done in America. In 2021, Microsoft partnered with Gucci to make this Gucci themed Xbox Series X, which is absolutely extravagant and a massive luxury brand. Now this wasn't actually available to purchase, I don't believe. It just went out to media and influencers and things like that, which kind of sucks. It would be nice for people to have that option, especially if they're a massive hype beast and also an Xbox player. Basically coming with this really fancy Gucci bag, an Xbox that's all decaled out with Gucci logos as well as the Gucci logos on the controller itself. Look, it's pretty ugly in my personal opinion. I'm not one of those Gucci guys myself, but I know there's someone out there who's looking at this bag thinking, I need this in my collection, and honestly, I can't really talk. Look at my collection behind me. Speaking of which, my weakness around gaming collaborations is shoes. I've got another video coming out in the channel in the next couple of weeks talking about the PlayStation Nike collaborations, but I absolutely love these. In 2017, 2018, and 2019, PlayStation collaborated with Nike and Paul George on the PG2 and the PG 2.5. In fact, even more recently, as recent as 2021, PlayStation collaborated again with Paul George on their PlayStation 5 PG5. But I think there is some elegance to the PG2, and this is PlayStation's very first shoe collaboration with Paul George. There are a bunch of different colorways of these things, and I have almost all of them in my collection, I hate to admit. But we'll talk more about those another day. Okay, time to try the circle donut. Great donut, 10 out of 10. But Sony aren't the only ones to get on the shoe game. In the end of 2021, Microsoft also decided to join the party, partnering this time with Adidas. Microsoft made 4 silhouettes, one for each of their console generations, the original Xbox, the 360, the Series, and then the Series X generation, all with vastly different silhouettes and designs. And it's a really, really cool collaboration. In fact, I even think it's cooler than what Sony did with the Paul George, just because Microsoft kind of changed all the different elements of the shoes depending on which generation it was replicating. I was lucky enough to get my hands on a pair of the 360 shoes, and there is a bunch of cool Easter eggs on these shoes showing off things from the 360. But I also have another video that I filmed about these a couple of weeks ago, which should be coming out in the channel hopefully in the next couple of weeks too, with all of the juicy details on these. My favorite thing though is this hidden in the shoe strap. Okay, let's head over to Japan. Resident Evil, and they collaborated with a perfume company to make a perfume called the T-Virus. I don't know how well that would go down in today's age. This was obviously pre the last couple of years of things that have just happened, but they literally made a formula called the T-Virus. You're not familiar with Resident Evil, that's a zombie game where there's this zombie outbreak as a result of the T-Virus. This was a Japan exclusive piece of merchandise that was only available in the Capcom Cafe in Tokyo. This one came out some point in 2018, I believe, and I was actually lucky enough to be in Japan at the time. I went over very eagerly anticipating buying this thing, and then I smelt it. I didn't wouldn't buy it. It did not smell good. It smelled a lot like a T-virus. I know it's a bit quirky and corny and goofy, but I think it's a pretty damn cool little piece of merchandise that you can have there sitting on your shelf. I did pick up something from the Capcom store that year though. It was these things here. Umbrella Corporation themed tablet candy, which is basically a set of like sugar lollies in a little pill container saying tablet candy. I think it's kind of cool, and they tasted better than the T-virus did. This is one of the weirdest and coolest collaborations that I've seen, and this is between Louis Vuitton and Final Fantasy. I don't know what it is with these high fashion brands and gaming, but they obviously work well together. Final Fantasy 13 is the series of Final Fantasy games that's better left kind of not talked about that much. I think people that played it really enjoyed it, but then it generally has the stigma of being a bit rough around the edges. The third game, Part 3, which is also called Lightning's Revenge, actually my favorite out of all three of those games, did a weird collab with Louis Vuitton. Basically, the main character is a female in that game named Lightning. And in 2015, Louis Vuitton did this photo shoot basically with Lightning, the anime character from Final Fantasy, showing off a bunch of clothing and handbag, essentially releasing a whole cover spread of this character modeling their new lineup of fashion. It's super weird because they would have had to animate and CG and do all of that. It's kind of, that part's weird. The strangest part is that it wasn't just like a cover spread of these images. It was a full interview with the character Lightning in this magazine as if she was a real model for Louis Vuitton. She talked about her favorite pieces in the collection, and it was just a weird little thing that Final Fantasy did. Hats off to the marketing team for coming up with that idea. I think it's a super, super cool idea. Definitely out of the box, definitely one that's like left field, especially even for me, that's left field. Another one that I don't quite get is Destiny's collaboration to produce a cookbook. Schuster Publishing published a Destiny themed cookbook in 2019, and I don't really know what the link is here. I wasn't a massive Destiny fan. Obviously there's food in that game, but I didn't think it played such a big role that we wanted to actually start reproducing Destiny themed food in the real world. Although who am I to talk? We're eating a triangle right now. Let's see how this one tastes. Good donut. The Destiny cookbook isn't actually the only one made by these guys. They did a cookbook for Fallout, which to an extent I think makes more sense, even though it is still weird. And then also Street Fighter. At this point you might be thinking, why would you want that? And I guess it's, if you're a mega fan of that franchise, that's your thing, then I think it makes sense. I personally wouldn't want a Destiny cookbook, but I can understand why somebody would, the same reason I would want this jumper or this box of donuts in front of me. Going back to PlayStation, another pretty interesting one is their collaboration for the PS5's launch with Balenciaga. This was alongside their collaboration with Cactus Jack, Travis Scott, and Nike, which they did, as well as this thing with Balenciaga, producing these pretty basic PlayStation 5 logo t-shirts, basically just a t-shirt with the PS5 logo on it and some Balenciaga branding. Funniest part about these and how basic they are is that these t-shirts cost a whopping $500 a piece. Oh my God! They also did hoodies and socks. The hoodies retailed for around $900 a piece, and the socks were close to $200 for a pair of Balenciaga PlayStation socks. I mean, it's a crazy flex if you're into flexing like that, but it's a lot of money for a t-shirt with a PlayStation 5 logo on it. The most painful part about that though is that the resale market for these items has just jumped and jumped, and the t-shirts are now retailing for about $1,500. So I guess if you got one at launch, you've probably made more profit than if you'd sold your PS5 at this point. We still got the square to go. Let's have a bite of the square. Good donut. The PlayStation Donut King donuts are a 10 out of 10. They're donuts. They taste amazing. These other collaborations though, I don't know. Tell me what your favorite gaming collaboration is in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed this kind of video and you want to see more wacky gaming collaborations, I would be happy to make a part 2 of this. Just make sure you leave a like and let me know in the comment section down below. Where's the X donut? That's the one I want to... Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that's the one. That's the best one. The X is the best by far. Patrons and channel members, it's that time again. If you are a Patreon or a channel member, my undying gratitude goes out to you. Thank you so very much for allowing me to continue to make these videos and keeping the lights on and getting these cool new glasses. What do you guys think? Thank you to each and every one of the fine folks over here on my side for supporting the channel, especially this guy up here at this tier. This guy is an absolute legend. Don't forget, you too can become a Patreon or a channel member and support this channel by clicking on the link in the description down below. $1 a month goes a very long way in helping support a small creator like me. I really appreciate each and every one of you who considers giving some support. Thank you so very much for watching this video, folks, and I'll see you in the next one.